Hi everybody, and welcome to today's reading lesson for Monday, May 11th. We are finally moving away from nonfiction reading. Thank God. I'm not a big fan of nonfiction reading, so for those of you who are like me, this next unit might be a little better for you. For those of you who like nonfiction, well, we've had 2 units already. We've had our argument and advocacy, and we've had our westward expansion research. So let's move on to something different, and who knows, maybe you'll like it. So I'm coming to you from my living room. This is one of my favorite places to read at night because I have a little fireplace that I put on to keep me warm, and I have a nice comfy couch. And it's nice and quiet in this area when everybody goes to bed or everybody else is doing something different like playing video games or watching YouTube videos on their phone. So it's a nice place for me to read, be by myself, and get really engaged in the book that I'm reading. So I want to make sure that you have a certain place at home where you can take a moment and get comfortable so that you can truly be engaged in your reading. And we did this way back when, at the beginning of the school year in Unit 1, where we found a comfortable place to read. Now I know that might be difficult, believe me, with all the people that are in your house because we have to stay at home. But if I can do it with 2 teenagers, you can do it as well. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to discuss some of my favorite fantasy books. Now, fantasy have certain characteristics. They have magic in them, spells, charms, usually have some special creatures like witches, vampires, fairies, set in medieval times, can be set in a futuristic time, or in an ordinary world where magic comes into and changes the world. We also have a battle between life and death, good and evil, and the characters are usually on a quest to find something out about themselves, something about their past, or something about an object or a relic that they found. Okay, so let's just go over some of my favorite books. Here's one of them, A Discovery of Witches. It's about a young girl who is a witch, but she doesn't want to be a witch. And she finds this magical book that has secrets in it, secrets that can destroy the world. So she teams up with other special creatures such as vampires and fairies and demons, and they all together work on how to get rid of this book before the secrets in the book destroy the world. Okay, going back to this book really quick, this was an example of a real world setting. It took place in London where the magic came into the world. Another book that I like to read is The Hunger Games. Really has no magic in it. However, it's a made-up world where they have to follow certain rules and they have to live in certain places. And every year there's a game that goes on where people have to fight to survive in order to win the game. So that kind of fits a little loosely into the fantasy fiction genre. There's no magic really, there's no creatures, but it is a made-up world and a made-up story. One of my favorite from being a kid is The Chronicles of Narnia. Now this happens to be the movie. I don't have the book at home. I usually read on a Kindle, so it makes it hard for me to show you what kind of books I read. But the Narnia series is very interesting and one of my favorites. It has a regular world where magic comes into it and the characters actually get transformed or transported into a magical world. It's very interesting. It's a series, and the author of this series, C.S. Lewis, was very good friends with the author of the Lord of the Rings books. You'll see certain similarities. These are usually for younger children in the elementary grades, where the Lord of the Rings are usually upper middle school and high school. But when you get to read them later on, you'll see very many similarities in both of the series. And if you've seen the movies, you might already know the similarities. Today we're going to focus on just getting our feet wet again in fiction reading, and then I'm going to have you choose a book, a fantasy fiction book that you would like to read as we move into this unit. I have some on Get Epic, but Ms. Putro is also helping me out with getting you some fantasy fiction books from either the Maplewood Library or the South Orange Library. And then of course, if you have Kindle accounts or you have any other account where you can get a fantasy book, that would be great. So let's go to your work for today. So here's the classroom. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to open this document, Welcome to the World of Fantasy. So I'm going to click that on, and you're going to see your work for today. So as soon as you click on it, you're going to click here to watch this video so you can see what's happening. And as you scroll down, here are the directions. Listen and read along to the story Jumanji and use the information from the text to answer the questions below. Jumanji is also one of my other favorite stories by Chris Van Allsburg, and you might recognize him as the author of The Polar Express. Jumanji happens to be one of my favorite right now because my daughter and I have been watching the original Jumanji, which was when I was a kid, and then the remakes with The Rock, Jumanji, and I think Jumanji: The Next Level. We're fascinated with those two movies, and we're hoping that a third one will come out in that series as well. If you've watched the second one, you'll see the animals run through at the end, so there's a possibility of a third movie coming out. This Jumanji, let's go back here. So when you click on here, you're going to come to a YouTube channel, and this is the actual book read aloud by Robin Williams, who was the main character in the Jumanji movie when I was younger. So you're going to listen to and read along with Robin Williams as he reads Chris Van Allsburg's story Jumanji. After you've done that, you're going to look at questions 1, 2, and 3. And again, this is just a review. This is your required work for today, but it's just a review of fictional reading and writing about our reading. Just to, get our feet wet, get back to fictional reading after we've been looking at nonfiction for so long. So, number 1, the author writes these sentences in the first 2 pages of the book. "Look," said Peter, pointing to a note taped to the bottom of the box. In a childlike handwriting were the words, "Free game, fun for some, and not for all. P.S. Read instructions carefully." So here's your question that you have to answer. How is this part of the story important to the whole? You've seen this question before. We've done this numerous times with fiction reading. And here are some hints. These bullets are the hints to help you answer the story. So make sure you're looking at those bullets and answering each one. So let's go over the first one. It says, name the story elements highlighted in this part of the story. Well, think about those story elements. We're looking at fiction. That's character, setting, problem, solution, theme. Use literary language. Literary language are those story elements I just told you. And discuss how this part begins to develop an idea or a theme that will be important in the story. I can think of one right off the bat. As soon as I see that P.S. read instructions carefully, I have a theme already in my head that the author might be trying to teach me as a reader. You'll see I put the words answer here. You're going to start typing right after that. Your answer should be about a paragraph long, making sure you're using information from the text to support your answers. Number 2, it says discuss what you notice about the author's craft techniques. And if you go back to the classroom, you'll notice I put those narrative goals up that we used to use in fiction and those narrative techniques. So make sure you're using these charts to help you with number 2. Also, here are the bullets to help you answer those questions. What did the author use? What kind of goals did they use to help you understand the story, to get engaged, to get involved? And number 3, what are some themes that you see forming throughout the story? Okay, I will have the theme chart on the Google Classroom as well. Click onto the theme chart to see where or what theme are starting to evolve. What is the author trying to teach you as a reader? Then, I have one thing for you to do after you turn in this required work. You will see that I want you to go to getepic.com. The class code is here on the document. And I want you to look under assignments. There you will find a library of fantasy fiction books I've put on Get Epic. I want you to look through each of them and choose a book. If you have one at home, that you would like to be reading, that's great. You can put that down. And like I said, Miss Putro is also helping me figure out how you can get fantasy books through the Maplewood Library or South Orange Library. If you don't have a library card, there's actually ways that you can sign up online so that you can get a library book from those two libraries. Okay, so again, we're going to be working on getting you opportunities to get fantasy books. So if we can't get it for you in the next few days, choose one from Get Epic or choose one from your house, and then we will try to get you more opportunities to get different fantasy books. I know the ones on Get Epic can be a little lame, but Sisters Grimm is pretty good. I like that book, especially if you like fairy tales. It's kind of like a mystery and fantasy all woven together about fairy tales, so that might be interesting to you. Harry Potter. If you haven't read that, I will also put a link on for Get Audible. It'll read Harry Potter out loud to you, so that will be a choice as well if you haven't read Harry Potter. If you have read them and you read them multiple times, then this is not a book for you to read right now, because this is practicing our using strategies with fantasy fiction. If you have any questions, please email me. Our read-along text will be The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from the Chronicles of Narnia, and we'll start that tomorrow. So I will be putting that on videos as well for you to watch and listen to, and I will be using some of the strategies to help me figure out that book, and then you'll be doing the same thing. You'll be using the same strategies that I use with the Chronicles of Narnia to do in your own personal fantasy book. Once again, have a great day and enjoy our new unit.